In the fitness industry, there is no shortage of trends and fads that come and go like the wind. But what are the best ones? Well, today I'm going to be taking you through my opinions of the best and the worst fitness trends that have graced us with their presence. We're going to be ranking them on a tier list from F tier, which is just absolute dog shit, not worth your time, all the way to S tier, which I feel like you get the most bang for your buck and are pretty much timeless. So let's jump straight into it. Everything here is my opinion, and if you disagree, then you're wrong, I'm afraid. Starting off our list with a bang and a bit of a controversial one, ice baths or cold water therapy. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not too big on ice baths. Have I had an ice bath? Have I had cold water therapy before? Yes, I've tried it like every cunt. But really, when you put it up against everything else, and when it comes to recovery especially, it just does not live up to the hype. I'm going to put it in C tier. Now, ice baths became popular around about the mid-2010s when you had people like Joe Rogan jumping on his podcast and talking about how good it felt to jump in an ice bath in the morning. And then you had people like Wim Hof coming onto the scene that was offering stuff like the Wim Hof method. And he offered some really interesting insights into ice baths and cold water therapy. And to be honest with you, with the amount of research that I've been done with it, you can see an argument for why they can be good for you. And like I said, I've done it a few times, but when you really dive into the research and you put it up in competition with other stuff, other recovery methods like, I don't know, good sleep, eating the correct nutrition, eating proper food, and correct management of intensity, stress, and load management. When you put up against all them things, the benefits that you get are single digit percentages, I'll be honest with you. That and it's turned into a whole fucking industry. I mean, look at this guy. This guy's sitting in his little ice tank here, right? That Polar thing, right? Or Polar, or there's a bunch of other ones that are around at the minute. To buy fucking bath that you sit outside with, they're charging like some hundreds of dollars and pounds. I'm not even lying. The whole thing's turned into a bullshit industry, and I think people that just take advantage of it, and it is very cult-like at the minute. I'm sick of seeing people on fucking Instagram posting stories about how they're getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning and jumping straight into a cold bath. Are you fucking mental? It's the most uncomfortable thing ever. And they've got to let people know about it as well. Like, you are not an ice bath enthusiast unless you're posting about it and cracking on to all your mates about how good it makes you feel. When really, I'm probably getting better recovery than you. If you're having a nice bath every morning and that's making you feel good, fair enough. But I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm eating all the correct amount of food. I'm taking care of myself throughout my life, managing my stress. And to be honest with you, I think that is way better for my health than jumping in some icy water for 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm going to put it as C tier. You know, you do feel good when you jump out, and I suppose there are bits of research that show its benefits, but yeah, it's definitely not for me when summarized with everything else. Second one is foam rolling. Let me tell you something about foam rolling. I'll be honest, I think it's a load of shit. I think it's a load of shit. It's one of those trends that people have hopped on, right? They're going in the gym, they spend 30 minutes doing mobility, foam rolling the arse crack, foam rolling the quads, taking a little video of themselves while they're doing it. And like I said, they spend about half an hour doing that before they even jump into the first set. I honestly feel like the majority of people that foam roll couldn't even tell you why they're foam rolling or what benefits it has. That's how bad it is. And every fucker owns a foam roller now. Um, there has been research that goes into foam rolling. The whole idea of it is that these people are foam rolling their muscles to try and weave out knots, to try and like stretch out the muscle, to try and relax the muscle and warm it up before they jump into a training session. However, all these people that are foam rolling are doing it before they've even warmed up. They're foam rolling on cold muscles, and that completely negates any benefit that you're going to get from it. If you are going to foam roll in the gym, you need to warm up on a piece of cardio equipment for at least 5 minutes beforehand. Either that or foam roll after you've done your training session. And that's when you start really seeing the benefits of it. But all you people that are jumping in the gym and foam rolling first thing first, it's not going to do anything for you. I'm telling you that now. Do your research, look into it. It's not as good as what you think. I'm going to put foam rolling probably I'm going to put it in C tier. I'm going to put it above the ice baths because, you know, it probably has a bit more benefits. And there is a thing to when you go into the gym, let's say you've got a bit of a bad back, if you do warm up properly and you do roll your back out, it can help a little bit. Now, whether that's placebo or whether that's actually something going on there, I guess that's just subjective and up to interpretation, but I'm not going to put it any lower than that. So foam rolling, again, do your research on it. It's probably not as good as what you think, but it still can give you a few benefits. Number three, okay, we have F45, boot camp, high intensity interval training, classes, gyms, all that good stuff. Now, I don't have a problem with high intensity interval training, with classes, boot camps, all that type of thing. If you're the type of person that's only got so much time to commit to the gym, because not all of us are fucking gym hermits like me, right? But if you've only got a few spaces throughout your week to commit to the gym, you can only train for 45 minutes, 30 minutes even, then this high intensity interval training, these boot camp style classes, can be a good substitute for your training because the intensity is high enough that you're probably getting something out of it and the weights that you're lifting aren't heavy enough that you're going to get injured. However, that being said, I feel like a lot of the people out there that do boot camps, that do these fitness style classes, that do these F45 style things are not in the best shape possible because they feel like that they can just come to the gym, do a class, not do anything else on the outside, and that will make them in shape. And that's just not the case. All right. If you actually want to get in shape, if you actually want to get lean, put some muscle on, get stronger even, get fitter, then these classes are not going to do it for you. There is no way to progressively overload these classes unless you are bringing a notebook with you and looking at weights that you do every single time, which there's just no time for it because these are so snappy and fast and the classes can just change and chop and change at every moment. There's no way you can actually do that. And yeah, honestly, there's no substitute for strength training. And that's what really causes results. Again, if you're someone who's got a limited time in the gym and you literally can't get in and fucking lift the barbell for half an hour, yeah, fair enough, come to these classes. But yeah, they're definitely not the best when it comes to getting in shape. Let's put high intensity interval training, F45. Let's put it in B tier. Let's put it in B tier. Next one, bodybuilding training. Right. So bodybuilding training obviously had a big boom in the 1970s with people like Arnie, Ronnie Coleman, all the old school golden era bodybuilders out there. It really, really came into play, and you've seen a lot of people back then actually going into the gym for the first time off the back of seeing all them stars. And again, I really think it did get people into the gym. And to be honest with you, I feel like bodybuilding training is up there in S tier with some of the best training styles you're ever going to get. It's easy to progressively overload. It's great just for longevity. You're taking your muscles through the full range of motion when you're doing bodybuilding style training, whether you're doing a push-pull split, a bro split, whatever kind of split. It's just great for your joint health, great for your muscular endurance, great for your overall strength as well. And if you're dedicated to building a pretty good physique, this is the type of training that you're going to need. And 9 times out of 10, why do people train? To be in some fucking good shape and get rid of any insecurities that they might have. And bodybuilding training is up there with that. So it offers some great athletic potential as well. You see guys like C-Bum recently put a video up of him doing a vertical jump. And this guy is a guy who's only ever done bodybuilding training for 10 plus years. And this guy is vertical jumping a lot more than some NFL players do. If you look at him, he vertical jumps the same, if not more, of what them guys in the combine do, which is absolutely insane, which is just a testament to how effective bodybuilding training is, not just for muscular development, but then also muscular strength and athletic development as well. So we're going to pop bodybuilding right there. If you go too extreme and start hopping on the roids and start getting a bit like Phil Heath here, then it can get a bit dangerous. But we're not talking about the sport, we're talking about the style of training, and we're going to put it up there. Compression boots. Just another load of shit when it comes to recovery. Compression boots are F tier. And my girlfriend's in the background and she wears compression boots every so often and she's just laughed there. And she knows for a fact that compression boots are a load of shit, but she pays over 200 quid for her gym membership, and compression boots are included in that, so she's going to get her money's worth. But honestly, compression boots, they're another one of those expensive fads that were just made up to try and seep your money out of you. The benefit that they give you, if any, is next to none. Again, when we compare this to traditional recovery methods like eating well, sleeping well, managing load and intensity well, managing your stress levels well, they don't even compare. So compression boots, we're going to put in F tier. Reformer Pilates. Honestly, I've got no opinion on this. This seems like, to me, it just seems like something similar to the compression boots and the ice baths, where someone's made a product and it's really expensive and they're charging an insane amount of money for it, but people just seem to love it. I mean, any exercise is better than no exercise, I suppose. But again, if I'm lining it up to your traditional barbell strength training, bodybuilding training, the benefits that you get from Reformer Pilates compared to them, I think it's levels above it. So like, I want to put Reformer Pilates. I'm not going to put it in. I'm not going to put it in C tier. I'm going to put it in D tier. Again, don't really have an opinion on it. Never done it before. So let's just call D tier just unknown. High rocks. I've done a high rocks. I've told everyone that I've done high rocks. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I've done high rocks. High rocks as a sport, it's very similar to CrossFit, where I think it's a very good idea. I think that the training style for high rocks is really cool. I feel like it has a good mix up of strength training and endurance training. However, it's very cringe now. And I feel like it has become that sort of cult-like thing. I reckon when it first was made, uh, it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was marketed to be a sport for everyone, and it is. When if you ever go to a high rocks event, it is very much that. You see people of all different shapes and sizes going there. You see older people there, you see younger people there, you see unfit people there, you see fit people there. Everyone wants to do a fucking high rocks, and that's really good because I reckon it's opened the doors to a lot of people who think that they could never do something like an endurance event, and they're finally able to do it. So it's very, very accessible. It's very open to everyone. But again, it is just very fucking cringe now, isn't it? You see people who win a high rocks and they're posting on the Instagram stories about it like they've just fucking won World War Three. And because of that, it's definitely went downhill. It's definitely going the route of CrossFit. I'm going to put high rocks in A tier because I've done one, and because I've done one, I can't diss on it too much. Like I said, the endurance training, if you do it properly, the endurance training that you need to have to do in order to do with high rocks really well is fantastic. And I was in one of the best shapes and physical conditions I've ever been just before I'd done my high rocks. So if you're going to take it seriously, if you're going to train for it properly, if you forget about the cringiness and forget about how fucking expensive it is and hard it is to actually get into a high rocks now, the sport itself is actually pretty cool. So that's why it's going in A tier. Functional patterns, F tier. Some of you might have heard of functional patterns, some of you might not have heard of functional patterns. Really, if you look at this guy here, this is the creator of it. He's a complete charlatan, he's a complete bullshit merchant. Basically, what functional patterns is just this style of train that revolves around buying really expensive machines that do really complicated movements that don't really transfer to anything at all. His whole method and philosophy around it is that it carries on over to more to stuff that you do in everyday life. So there's a lot of rotational movements in there. There's a lot of just really strange movements in there as well. But this guy, if you look at his past, is a well-known charlatan. He's known to rip people off in the past. And when you draw it up again with stuff like traditional strength training, plyometrics to a certain degree, bodybuilding to even a certain extent, endurance train, all these things transfer over way more, all the basics obviously, transfer over way more to athletic development than functional patterns ever will. And if you look at this guy and you look at his Instagram and some of the methods that he's using, it's just complete and utter bullshit. So that's why functional patterns gets an F from me. if you look at some of the machines as well, I don't even know how this guy can progressively overload any of this, because he uses basically these big complicated cables that look very similar to cables, and he does loads of weird rotational shit with them with a big stick. And there's only so much weight you can load onto that before it just becomes just non-optimal for anything. So yeah, functional patterns is an F. Fuck that guy. Absolute bullshit. Moving on. Yoga. Now, you probably would think I'm gonna call yoga a load of shit, but I'm not. I actually really like yoga. I think yoga is really good, and not because you're gonna get necessarily athletic from it, not because you're gonna improve your cardiovascular endurance or really your strength a lot from it, but just as a way to relax, as a recovery method in itself. Yoga is actually really, really good, especially hot pod yoga. If you ever done hot pod yoga, you know what I'm on about. But yoga in itself, if you're someone who lives a pretty stressful life, who trains really hard as it is anyways, and is looking for some way to like de-stress, take down the load, take down the intensity, really just be within your own mind for a little bit. I think yoga is up there with fitness trends that has been going on at the minute. That's why it's been going on for so long. Yoga is pretty timeless. I think it's been a thing for fucking hundreds of years and isn't really going anywhere. And there's a reason for that. So yoga, I'm going to put in. Do I want to put above hit style classes? I think. I think I want to put it at the top of B tier. And that isn't bad. That's good. I'm going to put above hit style classes. Yeah, yoga's right there. Okay. Banded exercises, banded stuff. Again, I think the whole banded era was a bit of a fad when it came out at the time. And by bands, they've got the positives and negatives, right? If you're someone who's recovering from injury, maybe you've had a surgery, I think using bands to slowly build yourself back into exercising properly is a pretty good idea. And you see guys who have injured the shoulders doing loads of banded internal and external rotations. You see guys who have injured the knee or have any kind of hip injury and doing banded squats just so they're not like overloading and trying to start way too quickly and come into play way too quickly with the barbell stuff and the dumbbell stuff. That type of banded work is really, really good. However, if you're a lass who wants a big arse and you're doing banded squats and banded fucking crab walks all the time, that's not what's going to make you have a big arse. Stuff like barbell back squats, heavy strength training, all that type of stuff, that's the stuff that builds muscle, as well as progressive overload. With bands, there's only so much you can progress with the different amount of bands over there, where it comes to a point where you're just not going to be able to progress anymore and it just becomes a bit pointless and useless. Again, this is one of those where people spend like 25 minutes to half an hour doing banded work in the gym before they've even got underneath a barbell. And by that point, they've only got 20 minutes left of the session. So again, banded work, great for recovering from injury, but as a type of strength trainer, as someone who wants to see progression, it's just not there. So I'm going to put it at the top of C tier. Massage guns. I'm going to put them in. I'm going to put massage guns in D tier, at the bottom of D tier, right? Because they're in no way on the same level as fucking compression boots and functional patterns. But there is still a little bit of bullshittery going on there. I think massage guns are overpriced for what they are and for what they do as well. Physios will sometimes swear by them, and if you go to a good physio and he gets a massage gun in you, yeah, you can feel like $1 million after. But as a machine in itself, again, comparing it to the bare basics, getting good sleep, getting good food, and making sure that you're not fucking slob. Massage guns actually come like right at the bottom of that, and they don't really do that much for your recovery when compared to them things. So again, you can feel good if you use a massage gun, but I'm going to put it at the bottom of D tier just because it doesn't really live up to all them other forms of recovery. Bosu Bull stuff or Bosu Bull stuff, F tier. One of those mid 2000s trends that started coming out, and at the same time you got all them fitness DVDs and that. Stability training, Bosu Bull training, again, it's a load of shit. If you're someone who's looking to build muscle, build strength, get lean, if you're hopping on a Bosu ball instead of doing barbell strength training, what the fuck are you doing with your life? I don't think it's as bad as functional patterns. It might be. Nah, I'm going to put them two, even though I've put it before, let's just say that them two are on the same sort of playing field. So Bosu ball training, load of shit. Zone 2 training. Okay. Now we're getting there. Zone 2 training, if you don't know, is steady state aerobic conditioning training, where you're trying to keep your heart rate from anywhere between 60 and 70%. Now, Zone 2 training is amazing. It's amazing if you're someone who trains on a regular basis and likes to train hard on a regular basis. I only started doing Zone 2 training at the end of last year. And since doing it, since going out on Zone 2 runs, really trying to keep my heart rate within that threshold, my fitness has went up by like 100 miles. I've done a lot of Zone 2 training when I was training for my marathon. I've done it when I was training for my high rocks. I'm still doing a lot of Zone 2 training now. And it's a great way to improve your overall fitness and conditioning. If you are already someone who's very fit and trains a lot, if you're someone who doesn't get the chance to go to the gym a lot, who doesn't really have a lot of time on their hands, and is really just looking to get in shape while doing the bare minimum because you've got a busy work schedule, busy social life, Zone 2 training is probably not for you. And the reason why is to get the benefits of Zone 2, you need to be doing it for quite a while. If you're someone who's only got half an hour to 45 minutes to train, Zone 2 training probably isn't good for you. And that's because you probably get more benefit from doing a sort of, well, you'll get more benefit from doing heavy strength training, and you'll get more benefit from doing probably hit style and a bit more intense, a little bit shorter, snappier workouts. Again, this is if you're someone who's got very little time on your hands and is just looking to get in shape and get lean. For athletes, Zone 2 training is your bread and butter. It's going to be great for your cardiovascular system. It's going to be great for your aerobic endurance. It's going to be great for just helping keep your weight in check. If you're a fighter like me, Zone 2 training, steady state cardio for over an hour is really, really going to help with that fat loss and just keep you at a good level of body weight and fitness. Zone 2, I'm going to put in at the top of A tier right there, because while it is amazing, it's definitely not for your average person who's looking to get in shape. Wearable devices like the Whoop or the Garmin. I've got a Garmin here, and I do love me Garmin. It's another trend that's came up in the past few years. I feel like every bugger is wearing a Whoop, a Garmin, an Apple Watch, fucking my zone. So many people are wearing them, and think it's very similar to Zone 2 training, where if you are a athlete, if you're someone who trains a lot, who really cares about their physical well-being and cares about the stats, trains more than like 5 times a week, and really just likes to stay dialed in, competes in a sport, I think wearable devices are amazing, right? Because you can track your sleep properly, you can look at your resting heart rate, to a certain degree, you can look at your VO2 max. And if you're really anal about the stats, then and are actually trying to make changes based on them stats, you can actually get a lot from wearing these devices. But again, if you're just the average person who's just looking to go to the gym to get in shape, to lose a bit of weight, to put on a bit of muscle, I reckon it's a really slippery slope. And if you're someone who feels that you already can become obsessed with stats like your weight and become stressed out, these definitely aren't for you. And for the price that they're asking for some of these things, it's definitely not worth it. I had a Whoop for around about a year. And if you don't know, if you buy a Whoop, you buy the actual device and then you buy a membership on top of that. And I think the minimum commitment is like 6 months. Can't remember the price at the top of my head, but it's definitely went up from when I used to do it. Um, and yeah, you're locked into it, and it just feels a little bit shady. There are better devices. I've recently got this Garmin that basically does everything that a Whoop does. Probably better on the fitness side of things, but Whoop does a little bit better with the sleep readings. But yeah, the good if you're in shape. That's what I'm trying to say. So Whoop probably goes in A tier. I'm going to put it at the bottom of A tier. There we go. Great if you're an athlete. Compound lifts. This isn't really a trend. It's more of just a style of training. But I'm going to put it probably more than at the top, S tier, more than bodybuilding. Compound lifts are your bread and butter when it comes to your training. No matter what you do, whether you just want to get in shape in the gym, or you're a high level athlete that wants to do some kind of training to help improve your strength and wants to do something that carries over and transfers well over into your training and your sport, compound training is, or compound lifts should always be a staple in anyone's program. If you don't know what compound lift is, it's usually exercises or lifts that work big muscle groups at once. So works big muscle groups. So that means multiple muscle groups at once. And usually you can just, and because you're working so many muscles at once, you can really, really push the weight that you're lifting. I'm talking about your barbell bench press. I'm talking about your deadlifts. I'm talking about your barbell squats, bent over rows, dips, pull-ups, all them sorts of things. Because you can push so much weight with them, because you can really progressively overload them more than any other lift out there, they're really the best thing out there for you. And if you're someone who's brand new to training and doesn't know where to start, compound lifts should 100% be where you start, no matter what your goal is. The more muscle you can build, the more efficient your body's going to be at metabolizing fat. The more muscle that you build, the stronger that you're going to get, obviously. Like I said, it does carry over to sports and all that type of stuff really, really well. So compound lifts, S tier, not really much more to say about it. Running has become very, very popular recently. Running's always been popular. It's one of those things that's been around since we first existed, obviously. But you've seen a really big surge in run clubs, in people going down to the track. Um, it's really, really good to see. As someone who's been running for years, the recent popularity of it is great to see, because people actually used to take the piss out of running a lot. Running used to be a bit fucking lame, and people take the piss out of you if you've done it. But now it's getting them popularity. It's a great way to socialize with all these run clubs going on. It's a great way for your average person to get fit. It's accessible. You don't even need to be in a fucking gym to start running. You can just plod outside. Yeah, it's one of those things that, like High Rock's accessible, everybody can do it, but you don't need any equipment to do it as well. The only downside to running now is literally the amount of run clubs that are. I've been for a few runs here in Brisbane, and if you go at the wrong time, you're going to be stumbling and swerving through everyone like there's no tomorrow. But that being said, it's going to have to be up there in S tier. Another really interesting thing about running that I was thinking about is, I feel like as cardio goes, as conditioning goes, it is the one where you can manage the intensity the most, right? So like you can go out on a run and you can do a zone 2 run quite comfortably, right? If you're doing it properly. But then equally, you can do a fucking really, really high intense snappy run. And you can just chop and change between the two day on, day off, and you don't really have to put much thought into it. Especially if you've got a treadmill. Like if you've got a treadmill and you can increase the gradient on it, you can increase the speed on it. It's a great way just to put yourself in them different energy zones. As someone who's an athlete, that's really important, because obviously I'm going to have my zone 2 runs on there, my zone 2 conditioning training, where I'm going to go a bit slower, a bit longer. But then I can also just do me fast runs, me interval training, all that type of stuff in a different energy zone, and it doesn't really take too much thought to be able to do that. And I can look at the stats right in front of me if I'm on a bloody treadmill. So running is definitely up there in S tier. And the last one that we're going to be going through is the carnivore diet. Again, it is a trend. It's been especially popular in the past few years. Carnivore diet, I've got mixed feelings on the carnivore diet, because when you do your research into it, it can help a lot of people who suffer from some kind of like autoimmune disease or allergic to this, that, and everything. However, it has developed. There's been a lot of misinformation that's been surrounded recently, and it's one of the things that people are just hopping on in that sort of cult-like format that people like to do, and without doing their proper research on it. Like I said, if you're someone who's got an autoimmune disease, if you're allergic to loads of things, hopping on a carnivore diet to try and find out what you're allergic to or what you're intolerant to can be a really, really good idea. However, in the long run, right, if you're just staying on a carnivore diet, it actually can be quite dangerous to your well-being. And if you are on a carnivore diet, what the professional advice is to slowly start weighing your way onto more different types of foods. Start bringing carbs back into it, start bringing different types of vegetables back into it. Because without carbs, without vegetables and micronutrients that you don't get from just eating meat, then you can become very deficient in things. And that's where the trouble starts to happen. So carnivore diet, again, it's one of those things, become a bit of a meme, become a bit of a culty thing, but if done in the right way, can actually be pretty good for you. And that brings a close to my tier list. I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap a little bit. Yeah, if you want more videos like this, give us a like, give us a subscribe, And next time I'll try not to just yap, I'll try and put a bit more thought into each one. Thank you very much.